Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? Well, it is Tuesday, March 9th, 2010, and episode number 53 already of Timberwolves Explosion. We're back once again to talk about 3 losses.
This is beyond belief!
Yeah, it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point because it's not like any of the 3 losses came out in a classy fashion. It was more like this.
Such an asinine, ball-brained, cockamamie, ridiculous fashion!
It was a little more similar to that. Maybe not quite as bad, but pretty close. It was pretty close. It wasn't the easiest game. It wasn't the easiest product to watch the past week. It really wasn't. 0 for 3. The Wolves not looking good at all. Of course, we're going to review those 3 games. It was Dallas, Houston, and Dallas. The Houston game, though, absolutely fit in with the rant that you just heard. It fit in pretty good. It was pretty rough. But we may have a possible solution this year, folks. That'll be the next topic. Of course, we're going to review the games. And then we're going to get into something I think is going to be kind of fun to talk about. Yeah, it's draft-related, and it's a potential player that I'm already endorsing the Timberwolves for the Timberwolves in this coming draft, and a possible a secondary endorsement of another player in the draft. 2 completely different positions, and of course, depending on where the chips fall as they may per se in the draft. If we're looking at the 1 or 2 or the 4 or 5, whatever, 3, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully 3 or 4-ish, we'll say, for that secondary option, because it might be a little bit challenging to get that guy, number 5. Of course, if we do get 5th, I'll have to endorse somebody else at that point in time, and we'll get to that one when it matters. So, yeah, those are the 2 topics, and of course I have a bit to get into, or like a new nickname, I guess we'll say, should the very first endorsement take place, which would be let's just say it would be a lot of fun, and the Timberwolves defense would get even better, and the explosiveness of this team would get extremely exciting. And of course, it's one of 2 people. Yeah, you may suspect it's one, but it might be the other. And but I'll describe as to why. I'll state my case as to why this could really, really improve the Minnesota Timberwolves in a massive, massive way. We're talking pretty exciting stuff next year. Pretty exciting stuff. Now, of course, we always talk about how the Timberwolves are going to be close to becoming a playoff team next year, and we keep saying that, this time of year, that next year will be a lot better. And here we are again right now looking at, second worst record in all of basketball. That's where the frustration comes in, and that's where the game reviews come in. Oh, how exciting. Aren't you pumped? Yeah, I am too. The good news is, though, the Wolves played pretty darn good on Wednesday, March 3rd, last week. The first game to review, of course. The Wolves had a few days off. Al Jefferson, unfortunately, has more than a few days off from the court, but no time off on the practice court. They pretty much kicked his butt, which is good. But, we'll get into the third game at Al Jefferson. Whew! Let's just... he looks pretty good. Let's just say maybe any kinks in the armor, per se, that were showing up all season. Well, he must have done something. He must have oiled them a little bit. It looked pretty good last night. Of course, that's the last game we'll get to review. The Minnesota Timberwolves lose only 112 to 109 in a pretty competitive game in Dallas, Texas. Jason Terry was pretty good in this game, of course. He scored 26 points overall. Well, he was hit in the face by Corey Brewer, which led to a major swelling in his eye and actual facial surgery, and the guy is out until at least maybe about 2 weeks, up to about 2 weeks, possibly longer, depending on just how bad it is. It was just crazy. Corey Brewer had the ball, made his little turn with his elbows, and it went right into Jason Terry's face. Very unfortunate there. I'm not a big fan of Jason Terry's anymore. He drives me nuts. I think he's a cocky son of a gun. But that doesn't mean I can do, or that doesn't mean I'm happy about what happened. That's unfortunate. Dirk Nowitzki chimes in about Jason Terry. He's tough, but he'll be all right. So that's all Nowitzki had to say about that. We'll get back to the actual quotes here in a second. I'm going to try to keep these game reviews slightly shorter so I can get to the next bit faster and have more time with it. Darko Milicic, of course, well, I won the bet, I guess you could say. He's now the starting center for the Timberwolves. Well, for 2 games anyway. He played only 14 minutes, but was 3 of 3 from the floor. It was fairly effective. Nothing major, though. Only 2 rebounds in that time and 4 personal fouls. He's kind of up and down at this point because he's still kind of trying to break through that physical wall, as we like to call it. But as we continue the review, Corey Brewer, the mentioned Corey Brewer, who accidentally hit Terry in the face. Well, his 3-point streak continued. He was 2 of 6 from 3-point range, 6 of 16 from the floor, fairly explosive late, not just early. Johnny Flynn was, he had one of those games where he was on. He had that spark. Unfortunately, it seems like when he gets that spark to score, his assists go down like crazy, and that's a bummer. Last night was kind of the opposite. He really hardly scored at all, but his assists were up for a while, and then they just stayed the same. We'll get to that again later. I keep going into last night's game. I don't know why. Kevin Love's minutes, of course, about as much as they were when he started, kind of. About 32 and a half minutes. Only 5 of 9 from the floor at 2 3-pointers, 14 and 14 in the game. But really, it's not about the box score at all. It really isn't. Other than Ryan Hollins was excellent against his former club. Absolutely awesome. One of his best games of the whole year. 14.7 rebound game. The guy was all over the place. No blocks, though, of course. 6 of 7 overall from the floor. Very aggressive, dunking on people. Hitting a couple of mid-range shots as well. The story of the game, though, for the Wolves was the turnovers. 20 turnovers in the game. Just nasty. He had 6 turnovers for Corey Brewer, 4 turnovers for Johnny Flynn, and 4 turnovers for Kevin Love. Just out of control. Just the Wolves play out of control at times, and they've been out of control most of the year. And it's pretty frustrating, really, to be honest. A lot of people like to call Ramon Sessions a stabilizer, but hey, he makes some nasty passes too, where he throws the ball in traffic, and it's just great, thanks. Or he'll step out of bounds or something stupid like that. But nobody on this team probably drives me more nuts than Alexei Pavlovich. Just the stuff he does is insane. But we'll get to that again. Some of the stuff I saw last night in particular. Just, whoa, man. Whoa. The guy is really bad. That's all I got to say. Just really bad. The only reason he's getting any playing time right now is because of Darko Milicic. Him and Darko Milicic are close friends. I hope that doesn't mean he's going to be one of those bobos that the Wolves are going to keep for an extended period of time in order to keep Darko Milicic. Ugh. Yeah, let's not even go there. But yeah, Jason Terry, every single time the Wolves play the Dallas Mavericks, Jason Terry hits everything in sight. I mean, it took an elbow in the face to finally get the guy out of there. That's about it. I mean, the guy, 5 of 8 from 3-point range, 50% overall from the floor, 26 points. The guy just absolutely tears the Wolves to pieces, and it's always from 3-point land especially. The Mavericks drive me nuts with their 3-pointers. At times it feels like they're rubbing it in, and other times it's just who they are. Bierbo's has become a really nice weapon off the bench. I mean, he's been valuable every single time we play the Dallas Mavericks. Barea had to start in place of Jason Kidd in this particular game. Jason Kidd rested yet again. Oh, goody. He didn't rest last night, though. Barea not quite as good as he was the previous time around. 3 assists. Last time he had 9. He had 9 more last night as well. The Wolves are still yet to get 9 assists in a game, by the way, from a single player. Just getting weird. It's getting pretty weird. It was a fairly entertaining game. The Wolves were... it looked like the Wolves were going to lose the whole time, though, until late when they made just a nice little surge in the third and fourth quarters around there. They made a nice surge to keep it very close and even took a small lead for a while. But things as usual just didn't go our way, unfortunately. As Flynn and Terry traded 3-pointers, Dirk Nowitzki hit the go-ahead shot, making it 99-98. This was in the fourth quarter, but then Dallas held on to the lead, and that was the end of it. Unfortunately, once Dirk Nowitzki hit that shot, you could just kind of feel it disappearing. Dallas at that point had their first 9-game winning streak in a couple years. Dirk Nowitzki didn't shoot very well, but he made all 10 of his free throws. This was, by the way, was his 900th game with in the NBA with Dallas and the NBA. He started in '98, of course. Drafted by the Bucks, traded to Dallas, one of the more lopsided trades in NBA history. Kurt Rambis chimes in. We made some silly mistakes, which has been a hallmark of our team, but I'm proud of how hard they played. Yeah, 22 turnovers, not 20. 22 turnovers in the game. That led to 29 Dallas points. It didn't really help us in the fourth quarter any more than it did the whole game. Flynn comments, they bring out the best in us. It's a really good matchup for us, but we turn the ball over too much. It's a recurring theme for us. We've got to get better at finishing off games. Or what we've got to get better at is finishing off games. And yeah, yeah, I mean, that would about be one of the most obvious statements in Timberwolves history, I'd have to say right there. It's if I haven't gone off on that topic enough this year, then forgive me, because I have gone. I think I have. I've gone on that topic about a billion times. And, the lack of finishing for this team is like historic. It's unbelievable. So now we'll go to the most lopsided, ugly, crappy game. Minnesota and Houston. Yeah, these games, Minnesota and Houston never work out. Aaron Brooks always seems to make every shot in sight, or at least shoot about a billion times and then get enough in to get his points up high. I mean, he gets enough attempts, that's for sure. Scola was ridiculous in this game. 25-point, 21-rebound game. There was a point that I was tweeting on the Wolves Explosion Twitter, Timberwolves Explosion Twitter, but it comes as Wolves Explosion. Twitter.com/Wolves Explosion. Please do give that a follow. Twitter.com/Wolves Explosion. One word, of course, no slash or anything like that. I was saying, how many rebounds is Scola going to get? 30? I mean, what the hell? Darko Milicic also in this game was pretty fun to watch. Remember how he kind of tends to have these bipolar type games. Another bipolar deal. Oh, and by the way, Kevin Martin was all over the place as well with 30 points. Just, man, the Houston Rockets have a chance to be a pretty good team if they're able to keep things together here and to stay healthy and all that good stuff. Especially if Yao Ming comes back. Watch out for the Houston Rockets. Kevin Love had a really good game overall, though, with 3 blocks, 2 steals, 4 assists, 11 rebounds, 20 points. He was all over the place, but he didn't shoot all that well. He just didn't. He shot an awful lot. This is one of the games where it was exactly about 32 and a half minutes again, which is kind of funny. Darko started and played almost 32 minutes. That's a lot of playing time for Darko. His offensive game has completely disappeared from whatever it may have been earlier in his career. I got to think, hopefully, as he continues to finally be back with the team and practicing again, that he'll get it back, that he'll get his sharpness back, I guess you can say. But his passing skills are pretty good. He's got a little bit of Arvydas Sabonis in him. Yeah, he's got a little bit of Arvydas Sabonis in him. Pretty quick with the hands is Darko Milicic, and I really like what I see out of him. I really do. 9 rebounds as well. Other than that, those are the 2 main guys that really stood out in this game. Sessions was solid, nothing spectacular. He was good enough. He was an above-average backup point guard, you can say, is what Ramon Sessions was. Hollins had another really epic game for his standards. He had all 7 of his shots, mostly dunks and close range, of course. 15.5 rebound performance. He did manage to get a block as well. So finally a block for Ryan Hollins. That's like a headline news, pretty much. But it was one of those games. The Wolves are just getting pounded the whole way. They made it interesting with a couple threes early in the fourth, late in the third. You can say a couple of 3-pointers, nice little 7-0 run, and that was the end of that pretty quick. Not the most exciting finish for the Wolves, and it's just like whatever. That's pretty much what it is. Nothing really exciting to talk about in this game, and I'm just going to get a couple of quotes here before I move on. I'm right about to, though. Kurt Rambis chimes in on Scola, that he's saying Scola's a terrific ball player. He really understands the game. It's pretty simple. And, yeah, I actually do like Scola. I mean, for the longest time, I wasn't sure really how good he is. Like, is he really that good, or is he, is he just this kind of role player who's lucky enough to be on a team where he's able to start? Is he one of those kind of guys? Well, he's become a lot more than that. Scola is, at very least, becoming a P.J. Brown type out there. Guy who can get tons of rebounds and score on the inside. He's kind of like another P.J. Brown. I'm impressed. By the way, there was an 18-1 burst or whatever run for the Houston Rockets early in the game too. That's when things just got crazy. It was pretty frustrating. And remember how I was saying it was a 9-0 run, not a 7-0 run. That was when the Wolves could pretty much say goodbye to the ball game later on, early in that fourth quarter. Kevin Love comments on that actual topic. That's been our Achilles heel all year long. We need to stop that, but it's easier said than done. Yeah, that is an understatement. It's funny, though. Yeah, I mean, the Wolves have struggled in the perimeter. But, I mean, down low, you think of how bad the Wolves struggle down low, but the Wolves generally struggle on the perimeter as well. And it's not about they don't take away the passing lane. Oh, they do a good job of that, but they just give up three-pointers like I've never seen. I've never seen a team give up more three-pointers than the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. It's so bad, it's unbelievable. It's worse than when we had Chauncey Billups at shooting guard or Wally Zerbiak at shooting guard. They just give up threes. They don't even care. It's funny because you think our best defenders are our perimeter players, like Johnny Flynn and Corey Brewer. So why are all these guys getting all these three-point shots? What's going on? It's beyond bad. I'm so sick of it. It's tough to watch. And Houston Rockets, no different than the Dallas Mavericks from the beyond the arc. 11 of 26 from beyond the arc. It's just like, oh my God. I'm so tired of it. 4 of 10 for Kevin Martin. He attempted 10 three-pointers. And you don't even really think of Houston as a three-point shooting team. They kind of are, but for crying out loud, I mean, my God. Are you even trying to guard the three-point shot at all? That's the one thing that I'm just a little bit concerned with this team long term, unless they change some type of defensive scheme on the three-point attempts. I mean, they take away the passing lane, which I really like, and that could get even better. But the three-point, the lack of even interest in stopping three-point shots is beyond me. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's weird. It really is. It's definitely become a tell across the league. Go ahead and just launch threes against the Wolves. You'll be you'll be hitting them because there won't be much defense against them, because we get over aggressive chasing the ball, and all of a sudden, the guy's wide open. Boom, they just pass it out, they kick it out, and whoever is wide open for three, boom, like Jason Terry, like Aaron frickin' Brooks. That guy's constantly launching threes. Mr. Chris Rock Jr. basically is what Aaron Brooks is. And no, he's a lot better than Aaron Brooks, the quarterback of the Saints, by the way. He's a lot better at his sport. Man, that's it's just so bad watching these threes over and over and over again. And I'm the kind of guy, I mean, every time the opponent hits a three, I get pissed. So you can only imagine how pissed off I get watching this all year. I mean, I hate it. You want to piss me off, hit a three against me. I mean, I get pissed. So you get the idea there. That's a little bit of a mini rant, I guess. That just kind of had to come out. It just had to. Just because it can. So, oh my God, it just pisses me off. The Wolves also. This is another thing that pisses me off. We went without a field goal for 8 minutes and 10 seconds. This was around the fourth quarter. And then the Wolves were down by 20. Boom. Down by 20. The Wolves made it really interesting with a huge 17-4 run. The Wolves made a nice run, but then Scola knocked down shots. Brooks, again, the same old crap. Another three-pointer from Aaron Brooks. It's like, poop, turn off the TV if you didn't already. No, and I didn't do that. It's just, that's what you think about. It's like, screw this. And here's the line of the year right here. Well, one of the million lines of the year from Kurt Rambis. Fairly typical game for us. Pockets are playing well, and pockets are playing very poorly. Well, there it is, folks. That's pretty much sums it up. Kurt Rambis definitely on the ball with that comment. That's all I got to say. Let's move on to the next game. I've had enough. I can't believe I actually talked as long as I did about that one. Monday, March 8th, my brother's 32nd birthday yesterday. Let's move on. Wolves and Dallas Mavericks. And you talk about sloppy. You talk about out of control. You talk about garbage. This game was really, really bad. It was really bad. It was out of control. 26 turnovers for the Wolves this time.
Oh my God!
It's getting to that point, folks. It's getting to that point where you start to simmer a little bit. It gets, it's unbelievable. Yeah, Al Jefferson had 36 points in the game, though.
Look, that's not enough to work with?
Yeah, and apparently, no, it's not enough. That's the problem. It's not enough. That's where the frustration comes in again. Al Jefferson looked unbelievable from the get-go, and he looked unbelievable the entire game. Just absolutely tore it up. Very, very fun to watch. But that was it. That was about the end of the positivity. Yeah, Johnny Flynn had 7 assists in the first half, but he didn't shoot well. Ramon Sessions was, as usual, he'll hit a couple shots. He actually was... Okay, Ramon Sessions was actually pretty good in this game because he was slashing to the basket. That's a comment I mentioned probably more than once this year. Ramon Sessions is good when he actually drives to the basket, but he does it so damn rarely. You wonder, what the hell? Is he ever going to just be himself like he was at the Bucks when he did slash to the basket and when he used to tear the Wolves up? Yeah, he used to tear up Randy Foye. Remember that last year and the year before? And it was like, who the hell is Sessions? Who's this Raymond Sessions, as we like to call him at the time? Not Ramon, because we didn't know better yet. Who the hell is Raymond Sessions tearing up the Wolves? You know, it's like, man, this is weird. Well, he was a nice second-round pick for the Bucks, and now he is a Timberwolf. And it seems like clockwork whenever there's kind of an upstart free agent or whatever you want to call it, like an upstart young player that turns out to be better than you thought. They come here and they don't really play the same way. It's man, does that ever get old? It's like, come on. Here we go, though, folks. Here we go. Well, one thing that I also liked about Sessions before I get into the next miniature little thing is that, there was a really nice give and go between Sessions and Milicic. I was pretty impressed. Really well executed by both. Yeah, it's just one play, but I mean, I liked it. It was good basketball. Nice, quick passing. Milicic, as I mentioned, has about the softest, quickest hands that you're going to get for a 7-footer. Just fantastic. And yeah, here he does remind me of Arvydas Sabonis. And one other quick thing. So since I'm on the Darko topic, I listened to Kurt Rambis on the Paul Allen show yesterday, and yeah, folks, I really do have a good feeling about Darko's future here if he wants it. If Darko Milicic wants to be here, Kurt Rambis sees a lot of stuff in him that can really be exciting. I mean, Kurt Rambis went as far as to say that Darko Milicic has more talents. I'm not going to say talent with a T, but talents with a S, more or less. He has talents. It's a matter of him turning it into talent, so to speak, like on the scoreboard and all that good stuff. Then Andrew Bynum. And yeah, Andrew Bynum is like an all-star center now for the LA Lakers when he finally stays healthy. It's about freaking time. Darko Milicic. See, that's the thing. I was thinking that too. You think about the well-rounded game of Darko Milicic. The shot blocking, the passing is outstanding. The rebounding, the general size. And, he does have an offensive game better than, what he's shown so far. It's because the offense is the part that really comes back once you get your legs back. And Darko does not have his legs back. He just doesn't. But that's the thing with Darko Milicic. He got buried in his final year in Memphis and got absolutely buried, left for dead in New York. That ain't going to happen here in Minnesota. Darko Milicic has a legitimate chance to be a long-term starting center in Minnesota if he would like to be that. Now, of course, it's not going to happen probably right now, just because, like I said, hitting the wall and all that stuff, and like you see every day, I don't need to tell you that. Very, very interesting, though, to see the continued development of Darko Milicic, and he is exactly what the Timberwolves have needed at the center position since 1989. And have the Wolves had a player anything near that? You know, have the Timberwolves ever had a center really since 1989?
No.
No, they really haven't. I can't say they have. Roshan Nesterovic, whatever. Weak, timid, mediocre defensively at best, mediocre rebounder at best. Just absolutely timid player. Darko Milicic is not that kind of player. He's a lot tougher than that. And other than that, Nesterovic was really the best center the Wolves ever had. And that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. So now we'll get to the next topic. I'll get off Darko. It's a quick little bit here about the game. It's just a quick thing. It's not even a topic, what I'm saying. It's just a quick thing I saw last night. Now, Pavlovic got a steal, right? It's like, here we go. Cool. He got a steal when the Dallas Mavericks were coming out of court. He's on the break. Here we go. Stole the ball on the break. You know, he took away the passing lane. Nice play. Kept going up the court. There were two defenders coming up to him and on him. Instead of even looking, he didn't even look for the other players. I can't remember who they were. I think Corey Brewer was one of them. Maybe Gomes or Wilkins, or I can't remember exactly. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it's Michael Jordan or A.C. Earl, trailing him. He didn't even look to see who was there to even make a pass. He just forced up the shot off the glass. Yeah, and off the glass is good, but the way he just kind of forced it up with defenders all over him and it bounced out. Those are free points. That's a fast break. Common sense is you get those defenders off the ground, you get them up in the air, and then you pass the ball to a wide open guy. There's no chance they will be able to turn around and stop whoever it is. And Pavlovic just, I don't know what's wrong with him. And it's stuff like that. It just drives me so crazy. That's the kind of stuff that would drive me crazy at, like, say, the YMCA or something like that. So why is it happening in the NBA? Come on, Pavlovic. Come on. And I know it happens in the NBA because even Johnny Flynn does stuff like that on occasion. Go figure. But but that's because he's really trying to kind of get something going at the very end of a game, maybe. And there's really not as much of a passing lane. But Pavlovic, there wasn't even a passing lane. It was a passing field. I mean, there was a field. All he had to do was pretty much fling the ball, sky hook the ball over his head. And I believe it was Corey Brewer or Ryan Hollins, somebody like that. And there would have probably been a layup or dunk. But no, it's just stuff like that. It's just one play, but I know. It's stuff like that. And Pavlovic does that kind of similar type of stuff all the time. And why is he even in the game? Why is he even in the game? It's just enough already. Enough. So that's pretty much the end of it. Great game by the Wolves, just great. Yeah, they kept within 10 points like forever because they were screwing around, the Mavericks and the Wolves were. And it was just like, whatever. Nobody really played well other than Al Jefferson, who totally tore it up. Ryan Hollins was playing okay for a while until all that garbage. Ryan Hollins was ejected in the game because he hit somebody again. This time it was Dirk Nowitzki accidentally bumped him in the head when they were going for a rebound. Hollins already had a near altercation with Deshaun Stevenson earlier. He's just a little overzealous. It's funny though. The guy who's really active like that, going for rebounds and block shots and stuff, yet he doesn't get rebounds or block shots. So what's going on here? Though Hollins did have one of his better rebounding games yesterday with 8. Give him credit there, believe it or not. Dirk Nowitzki chimes in on that. Hollins is a little bit out of control, but hey, it happens, as Nowitzki was shrugging. More or less, it was about, Nowitzki and Nowitzki and Hollins kind of went at it a little bit. Nowitzki was kind of getting pissed off at Hollins. I don't know exactly what he'd say. Maybe Shiza or something. Okay, that wasn't very appropriate. That's a German swear word, so we'll just leave it at that. Rambus's comment on that is, I don't like some of his decision-making, of course, on Hollins, but I like his aggressiveness. When guys play hard, there's a lot of physical contact. Tempers are going to flare. That's for damn sure. Al Jefferson's comment is, it was a lot of careless mistakes. We just didn't take care of the ball. We've just been kind of struggling with that all year. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Overall from Al Jefferson. But first, yeah, we'll get to the actual beginning part, excuse me, of how Al Jefferson started out. He got 11 points right out the first 6 minutes. The Wolves actually led by 10 points really early. Al Jefferson's comment was, I was just real anxious to get back. I felt like I let my teammates down, let my fans down, and I was real anxious to get back and try to get a win. My confidence went up. And that was the positivity of the game, was flat out Al Jefferson. That's it. That's it. Other than that, it was out of control. I mean, really out of control. Completely out of control. Al Jefferson dominated. Everybody else was okay, at best. Dr. Milicic had one of his more invisible games, unfortunately. Sessions was solid. Sessions has actually been fairly solid the past few games, though he did make a couple of dumb turnovers as well. Flynn was just out of control, though. Out of control. As much as I love him, out of control. Brewer, out of control. Yeah, that's the story of this game, and it's time to call it quits for that game and call it quits for this segment. Well, we're going to get into my little bit here. It's draft related. We'll be right back after this. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, episode number 53, which is a reminder for iPod users, along with MP3 players, Microsoft Zune, and all that good stuff, other MP3 players. All right, well, once again, the Timberwolves are in the 1 to 2 range in the ping pong balls. Well, they're not going to be number one with the ping pong balls, but they might end up picking the first or second pick. There's a possibility. And at this point in time, folks, I don't know. I mean, yeah, John Wall, a lot of people are saying how he's this can't miss. You got to take him or shoot yourself in the head type of player. And hey, if the Wolves took John Wall, they got the number one pick and they took him, you're not going to hear me come on the airwaves here in Timberwolves Explosion and scream and complain. What were they thinking? Blah, 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 blah. You're not going to hear me say that. But at the same time, there is a player in this draft, and you could probably guess who it is already, who has, I'm so endlessly impressed with him at this point in time. I am so endlessly impressed with him. And I've seen so much more out of him personally, in my case, that might mess up my opinion a little bit as I'm searching for the words. That might screw up my opinion a little bit, might make me more biased. There we go, finally. On Evan Turner, that I would strongly consider taking Evan Turner even number one overall. And, of course, if you get number two, well, you're going to get Evan Turner 99% chance unless the other team does take him. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I've heard from some sources that, hey, that's a possibility that Turner could go number one. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, hey, and you know what? Again, I wouldn't say.
It's just like, what were they thinking?
I wouldn't say that. I really wouldn't. As it's just been I'm so impressed with Evan Turner, folks. I'm so impressed. The guy doesn't really do anything poorly. He really doesn't. And he's not like Mike James coming on the airwaves dropping a, what do I do bad, what do I do bad? Like a lot of us experienced sports fans or sports watchers, sports opinion, sports talkers, whatever you want to call us, gurus. Not to brag, but gurus. Sure, we're guru, people that have been around as long or longer. You know they're a fraud when they come up and talk like that. Evan Turner, though, some of you that may go all the way back to the Palladino Live era, 2 years ago now, the first half of 2008, when I talked Timberwolves, I was absolutely in love with O.J. Mayo. Absolutely in love with O.J. Mayo out of University of Southern Cal. Timberwolves actually did take him when they had the number 3 pick. I was all over O.J. Mayo. The Wolves took him and, of course, traded him for Kevin Love, freed up cap space and whatever. Well, Evan Turner, folks, he might end up being about twice as good as O.J. Mayo. He just might. I mean, there is something about this guy that is piquing my interest. Like, I just can't believe it. And you talk about needs on a team that needs a major star of some kind. And yeah, that could easily be John Wall. This team needs a mega star to go with their other stars, you could call them, if you want to call them that, Flynn and Jefferson and such. Because right now, none of them are really mega stars. Evan Turner could become that. John Wall, too. Either one of them really could become that mega star. And without even having to be like the leader of the team. Without even necessarily having to become the leader of the team, you could say. Because I think Johnny Flynn will be that if the Wolves do keep him. Evan Turner can play anything from the 1 to the 3. And the other good part is, should you take Evan Turner, yeah, they list him as a shooting guard, but his size is such, you could potentially put him at small forward, and he's enough of a rebounder that you could put him at small forward, and he's a good enough passer as well, as is Corey Brewer. I mean, could you imagine a 1, 2, 3, the point guard, shooting guard, small forward deal with Johnny Flynn, Corey Brewer, and Evan Turner? 1, 2, 3, just like that. Could you imagine the speed? And could you also imagine the passing lane? The passing lane would disappear, I think, for opponents. Because Evan Turner, that's a huge part of his game. He takes away that passing lane a lot like Corey Brewer. A lot like Johnny Flynn. Yet Evan Turner's talent level might even exceed both of theirs. Well, obviously, it's going to exceed Corey Brewer's, I think. Corey Brewer's more of a really good role player / fun-to-watch starter, you can say. Johnny Flynn, well, the sky's the limit for him, but you just don't know yet. The evidence on the court in the NBA isn't quite there yet, though I'm seeing a lot of the intangibles. That guy is going to be a major, major player and all that. But Evan Turner is going to be really good right away. He's going to be really good right away. And if all three of those players take away the passing lane as well as I think they could in the NBA, especially on the same team together because it's only going to make it stronger, I got a nickname for that possibility. I would call it the Bermuda Triangle. Now, some people would come up with the Bermuda Triangle idea being maybe they don't like Kurt Rambis's idea of the triangle, that it's like a joke and all that good stuff. But no, in my case, I'd call the Bermuda Triangle the perimeter, possible perimeter defense, at least in the passing lane. You hope at some point they shore up the three-point shot issues. Yeah, I went extensively on that already. But the ball, yeah, I got to think the ball could just disappear at times for the other teams. I mean, they could be one of the toughest teams to really get the ball down low. I mean, that kind of potential could really strengthen the interior defense because the opponents are going to be getting the ball. The opposing big men won't really see the ball very much if the Wolves can take away the passing lane that as much as they do with that quote-unquote Bermuda Triangle possibility. And, of course, the explosiveness down the floor with all three of them, it's not just the possibility of the three players really being able to take away the passing lane as good as anybody, but then the explosiveness down the floor with Flynn, Brewer, Turner. I mean, oh my goodness, could it get good? Could it get good? It could be a lot of fun. Some people say Turner's jump shot isn't so great, but at the same time, you watch it. Yes, it is. It's pretty good. The guy plays the game smart. He knows when to go glass, when not to go glass, and all that good stuff. I mean, he when to go this way, when to go that way. The guy just He gives you a lot of everything. So I had to go on about Evan Turner at this point in time and how I think he could really be a real huge star for the Minnesota Timberwolves and make this team that much better in the coming years should the Timberwolves be fortunate enough to land the number 1 or number 2 pick. And, of course, John Wall could be that huge, huge star as well. But it's like if you get the number 2 pick, don't be all disappointed because you're not going to get John Wall, because I got a feeling that Evan Turner is going to be amazing in this league. I mean, I can see it. But now we'll get to that secondary idea later on. To me, it's obvious. I mean, both are potentially obvious. You could say, the Evan Turner thing and all that good stuff. But it's more or less saying if you do get the number 2 pick, don't shoot yourself saying, "Oh, we get screwed every year," because hey, he might be as good as John Wall or better. He just might be. But if you get the 3rd or 4th, now yeah, there's Wesley Johnson who could be another really nice fit for the Wolves at that small forward spot. He might end up being a star and of course a buddy and teammate and the same age as Johnny Flynn. Same age as Johnny Flynn. He's a junior, which Johnny Flynn would have been this year. That would be a lot of fun and really exciting. But a guy who, again, could be extremely valuable for this team if he can continue to develop as a player. He's got the size and the defensive ability, the rebounding. He's kind of got another all-around game. Now, not as good a passer as Darko Milicic, as few big men are. DeMarcus Cousins, Kentucky. DeMarcus Cousins, 6'11". I like his potential in the league. I do. He's one of those guys where people might be a teeny tiny bit down on him coming in. Not sure what to expect because he's pretty raw. And he really is raw because I saw him this Sunday with John Wall. I watched it. I watched them toil around with Florida. They took a little too long to win that game for sure. But I got to tell you, DeMarcus Cousins could really be a awesome center in the NBA. And, hey, I'd be pretty excited if the Wolves wound up with him in the draft. Really, any of those 4 guys, I'd be just absolutely pumped, to be honest, because, Wesley Johnson as well is pretty amazing from Syracuse. But, yeah, I mean, if Evan Turner or DeMarcus Cousins, you talk about filling a need, the Wolves would take the best player available and fill a need at the same time. It wouldn't be you're passing on a star to take a need. You are doing both at the same time, and those needs would just be this team would immediately be a lot better with either one of those players, I got to say. So just thought I'd get that off my chest and let all of you know that. My little Bermuda Triangle idea, the explosiveness. Taking away the passing lane and exploding on the break. They'd probably, it'd be a little bit of gambling, a little bit. Corey Brewer and all them, Flynn, do that a little bit. But if it works, it works. Hey, it worked for the New Orleans Saints, didn't it? They're world champs. So I'm not saying the Wolves would win a title anytime in the very recent future, in the very near future. But, yeah, that was kind of weird right there. That was a little backwards. But it's going to be a very exciting year for the Wolves, I think, in the draft. And I got to think they would I got to hope and pray they're going to wind up at least with the number 4 pick because you're going to get at least one of those 4 stars then. I mean, you're ensuring yourself of that. So we'll see how things go. Who knows what will happen? Maybe Derek Favors will catch on. Going to keep an eye on these guys closer than I ever have. Remember, last year was closer than the previous year. And this year it's going to be closer than last year. It really is. It's getting more and more interesting every year. So I would like you guys to please call into the phone lines, 209-736-7877, 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention you are calling in for Timberwolves Explosion. Leave your name and town, and then do your opinion, comment, shout out, whatever. There you go. Timberwolves Explosion also, I don't think I even mentioned at the beginning because I'm just weird. Timberwolves Explosion is available on the sportstuff.com and on iTunes. And, of course, on the sportstuff.com, we do have message boards. There's a button that says TSS Boards on the upper right-hand corner of the website. Do click on that, then simply click Register. And there you go. Just have a screen name that makes sense, that doesn't make people think it's spam with lots of jumbled letters and such. And you'll be on board. You can join the message boards, the NBA message boards, Timberwolves message boards, NBA especially, because they're very active on that website. Lots of really, really cool guys. Really cool guys. Do check them out and talk basketball. They're all, but not only are they cool, but they're knowledgeable. You got Ozzy Wolf, you got Rusty, you got P-Mac, you got Tarek, you got NY Buddha. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Brian Cush even finally comes back every now and then. Chicago Bulls fan. Do check out the site. They're cool people to meet. Clippers UK as well. Yep, there you go, Gavin. Timberwolves Explosion is also available on TimberwolvesPress.com. That's right, TimberwolvesPress.com. We post the show on that site as well. Do check that out. Talking Timberwolves since 2007. So that pretty much will wrap things up here on Timberwolves Explosion for this week. Thank you again for listening, and, let's hope the Wolves can step things up here and keep watching those college games. Keep watching the college games. Enjoy March Madness as we're getting a little bit closer to that here in the coming weekend. We'll find out who's number one. Ooh, probably Johnny Flynn's club. All right. Take care, everybody.